Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you're able to join us for this special and monumental event. My name is Hasina Juma, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a proud member of Calgary Pride. And I have the honor of being your moderator for today's event. To begin, we would like to offer a land acknowledgement as a way to honor the land that we are on today. In this and acknowledges Mohkinstsis and the traditional Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of the Niitsitapi Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, as well as Yari Nakoda and Tsuut'ina nations. We acknowledge that the territory we work and live upon is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. Today, we are also lucky to be joined by folks across Turtle Island on both sides of the colonial US and Canadian border, as well as guests on our panel and folks in attendance that may call many places home. We encourage everyone to learn a little bit more about the First People in your area. A great place to start is native-land.ca. This evening's event is about bringing people together and trailblazers in the South Asian community to talk about a topic to some that is uncomfortable, but one that needs to be unveiled. Today's conversation is about courageous conversations rooted in compassion and understanding to gain firsthand knowledge or wisdom. Because in the end, when we know better, we can do better. Today, Calgary Pride is streaming live from C-Space in Calgary. C-Space is a social enterprise dedicated to supporting communities of artists, not-for-profits, and entrepreneurs working at the creative edge of change. They believe that diverse communities of artists, designers, musicians, and makers of change can shape the city for the future. C-Space's vision for Calgary is a city where creative enterprise thrives in a vibrant community. They're supporting us tonight with the live stream, and we're so happy to be here. We would also like to thank Interpride, the International Organization of Pride Organizers, for partnering us for today's event. Before we get started, I thought I'd share a few logistical housekeeping announcements. Towards the end of the event, there will be a Q&A session. If you have questions that come up during the event, please feel free to pop them in the chat on the social platform that you are viewing this event from. And our staff at Calgary Pride will gather those questions. And towards the end of the event, we will get through as many as we can. We also have our friend Randy, who is here and who will be providing ASL interpretation for those viewers who need it. Thank you, Randy, for being here. To honor this special occasion, we would like to start off by offering a dance to Lord Ganesha. Ganesha is the most distinctive Hindu deities with his large elephant heads and pot-bellied human body. He plays a dual role of supreme being powerful enough to remove obstacles and ensure success, or create obstructions for those whose ambitions have become destructive. The song to be sung is in Sanskrit and explains the different aspects of Ganesha. The dance will be performed by Subishka Subramani, who is trained Bharatanatyam, an Indian classical dance form, for over 24 years. She has performed dance pieces across the world in Calgary, Vancouver, Chennai, and Doha. Apart from her trained dance style, she has also choreographed and performed various Bollywood pieces as well. She's a local to Calgary, and she identifies as a bisexual woman who is a strong vocal advocate for the 2S LGBTQ+ community, both within and outside of the South Asian community.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
चतुराय गानप्राणाय गानान्तरात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमत्ताय गानोत्सुकमनसे गुरुपूजिताय गुरुदैवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुह्यप्रवराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे गुरुदैत्यकलक्षेत्रे गुरुधर्मसदाराध्याय गुरुपुत्र परित्रात्रे गुरुपाखण्डखण्डकाय गीतसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगोत्राय धीमहि गूढगुल्फाय गन्धमत्ताय गोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि.
Thank you, Subi, for that beautiful dance and for helping us to create a vibrant space for today's conversation. Calgary Pride would also like to thank our community partners at the Esker Foundation for lending us their gallery to film this dance. You can visit the Esker Foundation and explore the exhibition Relations, Diaspora and Painting with international 27 painters whose work is concerned with diaspora experiences across countries that experience a major flux in people of color as their realities of racialization adds a significant dimension to their experience of living through differences, where questions of kinship are sought and redefined as strategies for survival. This exhibition is currently on until November 27th and is free to the public and open Wednesdays to Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a true privilege and honor to have Prince Manvendra joining us this evening. Manvendra Singh Gohil is the Crown Prince of Rajpipla in India and is the 39th direct descendant of the 650-year-old Gohil dynasty in Western India. Prince Manvendra is the first member of the royal family in the world to be openly gay. He is the only Indian to be featured on Oprah on 3 occasions and has been featured twice on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. He has co-founded an organization called Lakshya Trust, which is the first of its kind in the state of Gujarat and is focused on 2S LGBTQ+ empowerment. He is also the ambassador consultant for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, the world's largest and oldest not-for-profit for HIV testing and treatment. Some of Prince Manvendra's current focus is developing a 2S LGBTQ+ community campus in his royal establishment for social and financial empowerment of 2S LGBTQ+ community. Welcome, Prince Manvendra.
Yeah, thank you, Hasina, for inviting me for the Calgary Pride event. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm just going to dive right in. Can you take us back and paint us a picture of what life was like when you first embraced your sexual orientation?
Well, it was very challenging because to be born in the royal family itself is a struggle in itself, and then to kind of know about one's sexuality when you're born with something but you don't have a name for it and no communication, because in royals we lack a lot of communication even with parents, so it was so difficult for me to even to come to terms with my own sexuality, and then to come out to my parents, and that also through a nervous breakdown, getting admitted in a hospital and the psychiatrist treating me, and then the psychiatrist finally coming out to them was another story. And in fact, the first time when they were told, they never even accepted it. My parents, they said, no, it's not possible that our son is gay, because they said we've given him the best cultural upbringing, and no doubt about that. I mean, in royals we do get a lot of cultural good cultural upbringing, and then they said he had so many girlfriends in school, and that's also a fact. I had a lot of girlfriends, but they didn't know that I wasn't sexually attracted towards them. And then finally, of course, they were forced to accept, but I had to go through a lot of torture, torment, violation of my human rights, because they were adamant on converting me. They couldn't have a son from a royal family who was gay, and they tried their best to do medical conversion, they tried their best to do religious conversion, and at the end of the day they failed. They couldn't, because as we all know, you cannot make somebody straight if you're gay, and also vice versa. So that's how my coming out happened to them. And then finally, when I kind of came out to the world, it was a big shock to them. Of course, they never expected that I would be so vocal and so public about my sexuality. And of course, this shocked the whole world, and all the people around me were kind of didn't have any words to express of what's happening, because I created history by becoming the first member of a royal family to come out and talk my private life in public.
That's quite the story, and there's so much to unpack in what you have just said. And it sounds from what you've shared is that culture is really affected. Your culture, the intersection of culture and identity and belief systems definitely comes together in your story. Since the time that you've come out, have you seen a shift in those that are around you and their level of acceptance towards you since you've come out?
Yeah, definitely. My entire purpose of coming out was that I wanted a change to happen, and I always believed that we cannot sit quiet. If there is an issue, we need to talk about it. We need to break the silence and talk about an issue which is there in our culture, which is there in our society, but we just fail to accept it. And if I talk about India, I call myself that we are a land of Kama Sutra. We are the oldest sex encyclopedia of the world in our country. So sex education itself is a taboo in our country. People don't talk about sex, so how are they going to even talk about homosexuality? So when people ask me, why did you have to come out? You were living a luxurious life. Yes, I was living a luxurious life. I had all the possible benefits, but I was living a life of a hypocrite. And I wanted to be true and honest to myself and to others. And that's precisely, I came out of my closet and I told the world that yes, I am gay and so on, and I'm proud of it. And that has definitely changed a lot of mindsets all over, not just India, but all over the world, because media, and especially people like Oprah and the Kardashians and all, when they talked about my story in public, and there are people who are their fans, people who treat them as their role models. So when people like these talk about our lives, our stories, then definitely people change, and that has happened. Today, I'm happy to say that all those who went against me in the beginning, they've all become my allies. They've become strong allies, and they are not just supporting, but they are also creating awareness and talking about our issues in the public, and they are also changing a lot of minds.
And that's wonderful to see that journey. Everyone's on a journey of learning, and to see and to witness that people are able to shift their belief system. That's something that's definitely amazing. I know for myself, when I heard about you, I heard you at the 2019 Human Rights Conference in New York. And when I heard your story, it was quite powerful for me as well, for someone who is from the South Asian diaspora and lives in Canada, to see someone else who is like me and someone else who faced similar challenges, but then to see someone else who has overcome it. It was almost a sense of validation that there are others like me, and I'm sure that there are others that have come across your work that also feel similarly as well. Identity and culture are often very much intertwined, and this is very much the case, especially for the South Asian community. There's almost a sense of, there's also a group culture. So when you feel like you don't belong, there's almost a sense of inner disconnect and a feeling that you may not have a space within your community. In your lived experience, how did you go about finding support networks for yourself where you felt safe, where you felt heard and supported?
See, in India, we all have, we value the joint system. In India, if you see, most of us, we are attached to parents, and we are mentally conditioned to be attached to parents, and so that value system is very strong. Now, in our case, when we don't get support from the biological family, we tend to form our own non-biological family, from people who are also similarly, who have gone through the same kind of struggles and challenges. So we all live in two kinds of families, and for me, I was lucky that I met a gentleman by the name of Ashok Rao Kavi, who was the first activist of India, first person in India to openly come out as gay. And with his help, I found another family for myself. And I kind of got a good support system. And that's what I tell my friends, that, for those who feel lonely and they say, oh, our parents don't care about us and they don't try and understand us. And I say, well, you need to find a support system which is available in India. It's just that you need to identify the right kind of people. And today I have a godfather, I have a godson. In fact, my godson's in Canada now. I'm very proud of him, Deepak Kashyap. And all my godchildren are all well placed in the world, and they are doing pretty well, and they are also spreading the word and doing the things which I want them to do, like spread awareness about our issues. So this support system definitely exists in India, and we are all very happy and proud to be part of it.
That's pretty amazing. A lot has changed in India, I would say, in the last 3 or 4 years. If we go back to 2018, when it was legal for same-sex relationships to exist. Can you sort of elaborate on some of the changes that have happened within the culture because of that landmark ruling?
Yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs with regards to the law. I mean, it has been 2 decades we've been fighting for a colonial law, which was not even an Indian law. And as I was mentioning, India is land of Kama Sutra. So there was no question that we had a law which was criminalizing homosexual act and penalizing us, for no fault of ours. But anyway, thanks to our Indian constitution, which is I think the best written constitution of the world, which saved us. And on the basis of that, on the basis of the fundamental rights which were guaranteed to all Indian citizens, irrespective of their caste, creed, race, religion, and sexual identity, we were able to amend this law and give us the rights, our rights which were guaranteed to us but were taken away by this law, Section 377, were restored back on 6th September 2018. Very soon we are going to celebrate our third anniversary on in another 5 days from now.
Wow.
And so the big change which I think has happened is that we have managed to get a lot of support from the non-2S LGBT community, and I call them allies. I think the role of an ally is very, very important for us, because an ally is someone who's not from the community and who is proud of us, and those who want to support us and create awareness in the public. So we have allies in form of parents. We have an organization in India now which is run by parents, similar to PFLAG in America. It's called Speaker. Speaker is an Indian word which means acceptance. Then we have mental health practitioners who have decided to support us and say that homosexuality is not a mental disorder. Then we have Bollywood is supporting us. Media is of course supporting us in a big way. And a lot of change has happened. I mean, there is still not a lot more to be done, but I mean, we have really achieved a lot in the past couple of years than we would have if this law would not have changed.
We've also noticed the change in North America as well with the Bollywood films. That Bollywood is a global industry, and there's more films that are touching on topics of homosexuality, and there's also been shows on Netflix as well as other Canadian and North American individuals who identify as South Asian who have come out as 2S LGBTQ+ in public. And I feel like that's been as a result of the ruling, the landmark ruling that happened in India, as well as the idea that a lot of the belief systems and the culture that happens in India is definitely travels to the South Asian diaspora around the world as well. You touched on a point about the landmark ruling being colonial, and I just want to touch on another aspect of history. Is if we look at South Asian scriptures in particular, there's always been a recognition of the third gender, similar to indigenous nations here who have two-spirit folks in North America. Can you explain a little bit the origins of the third gender in India and your thoughts on how things got lost along the way?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, culturally, we have been a very tolerant country as such, and we've had diverse communities with us, and amongst them the trans community, the transgender community, and particularly under the trans umbrella, we have something called the Hijra community, which is very specific to India and certain countries which are neighboring India. Now, this Hijra community has been existing since bygone era. We have mentions about it in our old scriptures and in mythology, and they have the powers to bless. And the interesting thing is that there is a temple in India which is dedicated to this community, and this goddess, who is worshipped by the trans community from all over India and even parts of the world, is a mainstream goddess. She's also worshipped by a lot of other people in India. So this community has they call it gharanas. They have a separate I would say structure which exists where they have their own disciples and then their own followers, and they follow certain rules and regulations and protocols which others don't follow. But in spite of having all that, it was the Britishers. It was when we were ruled by Queen Victoria as Empress of India. She brought about this law, Section 377, which tried to disempower them. And since then, we have gone to the downfall. And it was only in 2014 when our Supreme Court, for the first time, recognized the rights of the trans community by virtue of a judgment called the Nalsa judgment. And today we are very fortunate that this community has been empowered. They have been given their rights. Not just that, very recently, my organization Lakshya Trust created history by getting the first transgender shelter home granted by the government of India. And this is first of its kind, and not in India, but in many parts of the world, there is no transgender shelter home. And we are now our organization in Vadodara, in the city of Vadodara in Gujarat, is housing almost close to 12 residents. But we are not just giving them shelter, but we are also trying to build their skills, give them job opportunities, and empower them. So a lot of work still needs to be done, but at least now they are being recognized by the government, and we are trying to provide them all those facilities which they were deprived of in the past.
You speak of knowing your history, and knowing our history and where we've been is definitely something that can help inform where we are today and where we need to go as a community. You're someone who's also well-traveled and knowledgeable about what's happening in the world. In your opinion, what are some of the impacts that you've noticed on the 2S LGBTQ plus community, people of color, when there is no affirmative statement in their ethnic communities?
Yeah, I've traveled the world. I've visited so many countries. I've been part of several prides, and I've met people from different cultures, different religious backgrounds from all over the world, and especially from the 2S LGBT community now. And one thing I've noticed is that even though I think there is homophobia is existing in all cultures. I cannot say one part of the world where there is no homophobia, but it varies from place to place. And I was quite surprised that countries where I visited, which I thought were liberal enough, like I would like to give the example of Sweden. I was called to inaugurate the Euro Pride, and I was very surprised. Just a day before the Euro Pride, there was violence, there was backlash. Even though Sweden is considered to be the first country in the world where, the sexual liberation happened with regards to the community, but still there is violence there. So we have to. I think what we all need to do is we need to unite. That's very important for me. And I'm reminded of a Sanskrit saying, because Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages in the world, and which originated from India. There is a saying called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is one family. So no matter which part of the world you come from, no matter which diverse community or religious background you come from, we all need to unite to come together and fight this issue. And when I say this issue is the issues which are faced by the 2S LGBT community, and that's the only way we will be able to bring about change in the world.
And in your opinion, when 2S LGBTQ folks of color are part of ethnic communities that don't necessarily have an affirmative statement, sometimes it's hard to explain the reasoning for and the benefits of that affirmative statement. In your opinion, are you able to share what are some of the benefits of having an affirmative statement and how that can help 2S LGBTQ people of color within their respective communities?
See, we need to, as I was telling you in the past, build allyship. I have experience from my own journey is that when I try to create allies from all stakeholders from all walks of life, that is something which helps because as I've mentioned, an ally is somebody who helps to mainstream our issues. You may be of different color, you may be of different sexual background, you may be of whatever different diversities you want to belong to. It is ally which is going to help us make the change. And I think that's one of the important things we all need to do and create allies from whichever part of the world we see things like they may be political, they may be government, maybe religious leaders, parents, education institutions, anything. But that's some very important thing which we need to do.
And allies are also important in terms of creating action and moving and standing alongside the community to create sort of that ripple effect and change. When you look at the South Asian community as a whole, where do you see the biggest issues around the 2S LGBTQ plus communities, and where do you feel are the opportunities to do better?
See, I think a lot of us, we have issues with coming out. I mean, people ask me, why is it necessary for you to come out? Why don't straights come out? Well, I said, well, the straight community or the heterosexual community does not need to come out because there is acceptance. There's everyone is fine with it. It's we people who are always subject to violation of our human rights and there's stigma and discrimination. So, one of the big hurdles which comes is marriage pressures. A lot of us, we get pressurized by our parents to get married to the opposite sex when we are not comfortable to even get married, and that's where we need to work on that, and for that parents' roles become very important. And I know that for the fact, even though I know so many friends who are who have the first generation, second generation who have settled down in US, Canada, Europe, Australia. Even there, this cultural, their values are so strong that they still don't understand, and they're still, forcing their children to get married, and then so many of them they have to undergo so many mental health issues, depression. Some of them even contemplate suicide. So we need to work together and see how we can resolve these issues with proper parent counseling, with getting the children out of these pressures and trying to see that they don't get succumbed to marriage pressures and they are able to live an independent life and a life of truth and honesty.
And it's that, and you bring a good concept of bridge building, right? And conversation and dialogue to sort of making sure that the belief systems are current to people's context and the day and age that we are in today. And we will be talking about parents a little bit later. We do have the stars of Amrit's parents, Lavina and Suresh Kapai, who are part of the Bravo's TV show Family Karma, who will be bringing in the parents' perspective in a little bit. So make sure you stay tuned in. I'm sure there are 2S LGBTQ people of color who would like to give back to their community in their own way and advocate for issues that are important to them, but maybe hesitating to get involved. In your opinion, what do you feel some of the barriers are, and what would you, if you had to give them words of wisdom, what would you share with them?
See, a lot of us, we are living in closet. We have the fear of coming out, because the moment we come out, we're attacked. We are discriminated at work, at home, at workplace, at education systems, at everywhere we are subject to discrimination. So the only way we could get these people out is empower them. To give them the right words of wisdom of trying to tell them that look, you need to fight it out yourself. You need to fight out your own battle. The way I did, if I would have remained in closet, I would have been still hiding in my royal closet, and perhaps married to some other princess, and living a life of hypocrite. But I wanted to be free. I mean, at the end of the day, you need your freedom. You cannot live for other people's sake. You need to live for yourself first, and then you can, and then only you can live for others, and you can help other people. So and there are so many of us who are belonging to reputed families, who can definitely make a change. We have seen examples in people from Hollywood, from the people from who are in sports and fashion celebrities and all, who have come out and have made a difference. And so we need more and more such role models to, for the society, to change the people's mindsets, to change the misconceptions which people carry. Like in India, for example, there is a misconception that if you belong to a elite family or an upper class family, you cannot be gay. So that was one misconception which I broke. I said, well, you can't expect Prince to be from a low economic background. So those are the things which we need to change, and that's what I try to do, and I'm trying to educate the people to make this change happen.
So what I hear is everyone has a role to play. So for those folks who are watching and who are viewers and are interested in making a difference, every step that you can take or every contribution that you can make does make a difference, whether it's in your own life, whether it's in your family life, or whatever community space that you're in. We would encourage you to take that step, if you feel comfortable, and every step does make a difference. While I was doing my research, I came across that you're in the process of developing a queer BOG in your royal establishment. Would you be able to share with our viewers what that is going to encompass and the focus of that?
Yeah, the queer BOG idea came about from my own life, because when I came out in the open, my parents, they disinherited me from the ancestral property, they disowned me from the royal family, and many things happened to me as well. I mean, so I thought if something could happen to me, it could happen to anyone else in the world, who belong to the US LGBT community. So I thought of developing this campus, which I call it the Queer BOG, which is open to anyone who belongs to the US community, US LGBT community from anywhere in the world, who needs a home, who needs a shelter, who needs to be rescued from especially the tortures of their parents. So that was the idea, and it's not just a shelter home, it's a home where I want them to have a safe and secure environment to be their own, to have the freedom of who you are and what you want to do. Without having to be subjected to judgments and stigma and discrimination. And I'm trying to empower the people who stay there by building their skills, by wanting them to do what they think is important for them in their life, and to give them job opportunities or getting them self-employed. For example, I have a trans woman with me just now. She's come all the way from New Jersey because she doesn't feel safe. She's not safe to be trans in US. So she's with me. She's doing organic farming and empowered herself. I rescued a gay boy from Kolkata. He's developing his skills of tailoring. I have another boy who wants to become an architect. So I feel happy if, if I'm able to make change in people's lives, and they could live and be their own and live their life of truth.
And that's amazing. The space of creating a space of belonging and a space of empowerment is making a huge difference. We can't wait to hear more about the Queer BOG, and we hope you share stuff online so folks, for those of us who are in Canada, can keep track of the space and what's happening, because it's definitely really exciting. I do have one final section as we close out this first section, and it is, which person in your life has inspired you to be the person who you are today?
Well, I have gained inspiration from a lot of people, and one of the key persons I would say who has inspired me when my journey of leading my life of truth and honesty was none other than our own national leader Mahatma Gandhi. I have read his biography, and I always, whenever I used to get disappointed in life, I would get inspiration from him, because I realized that when a person like him, on the basis of truth and honesty, could get freedom for India from the Britishers, then why can't I use the same rule of truth and honesty? And no matter whatever hurdles come my way, I will use this weapon and fight the battle and give freedom to my brothers and sisters of the 2S LGBT community who have been deprived of their freedom, they've been deprived of their basic human rights, and fight for justice and fight for their empowerment.
That's so beautiful. Prince Manvendra, I want you to, from all of us here, we'd like to thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us. I know for me, you've always been a role model to me, and I can't say enough about how this conversation that you've shared with us will help not only for South Asian communities that are in Calgary, but also in the province as well as around the world when they see this video. For those viewers who are on, thank you. We have another treat for you, for those who are online. It's a second Indian classical dance piece for Lord Muruga. Lord Muruga is the elder brother of Lord Ganesha and is known as one of the six faces. He is a unique godhead who is a rare combination of matchless valor and supreme and divine intelligence. He remains as the core of all divine energies and is believed to lead one towards spiritual evolution. The song to be sung is in Tamil and will explain different aspects of Muruga. This dance will also be performed by Subishka Subramani.
சிவன் மகன் முருகன் 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 அருள்தரும் குருவரன் குமரன் 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 அறுபடை அருமுகன் பரதன் 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 சரவண பவகுகன் அழகன் 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 ஹர ஹர சிவன் மகன் முருகன் 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 அருள் தரும் குரு பரன் குமரன் 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 அறுபடை அருமுகன் வரதன் 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 தத்தம் தகதரிக்கிடதும் எரிக்கும் நெருப்பின் பொறியென உதித்தவன் நீ மயக்கும் மலைத்தேன் வள்ளியை மணந்தவன் நீ வியக்கும் விதத்தில் சூரனை அழித்தவன் நீ மனத்தால் நினைத்தார் வினையற அருள்பவன் நீ தொம் கிட்டத்தக்க தொண கிட்டத்தக்க தாயதி நம் கிட்டத்தக்க நன கிட்டத்தக்க தாயதி தோ கிட்டத்தக்க தாயதி காக்குதி குத்தீத்த காக்குதி குத்தீத்த தொம் கிட்டத்தக்க நம் கிட்டத்தக்க தத்தித்தாய தத்தித்தாய தத்தித்தாய
Thank you, Subishka, for that beautiful performance. I'm super excited for our next guest. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fangirl of Family Karma. I watch it religiously, and I have a watch party every weekend when I watch it. And I'm thrilled to have our following guests with us here today. Suresh and Lavina Kapai are the two superstar parents of the Bravo hit series Family Karma. They personify love in their acceptance of their 2S LGBTQ+ son, Amrit. Their journey of acceptance has been chronicled on the show in an incredibly heartwarming and candid manner. This path to acceptance has not been easy, nor has it been without any hiccups. However, in the end, Amrit's happiness supersedes the traditional wants and desires every parent has for their child. They have set aside their dreams for Amrit to make room for his own. Suresh and Lavina are the truest form of role model parents and strive to lead by example for other parents facing similar issues. Welcome, Lavina and Suresh. I'm so excited for you to be part of this conversation today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for making us a part of this battle, as Prince Manvendra said. We are ready for it.
We're gonna just jump right in. We know from the show Family Karma that you have a son who identifies as gay and is now engaged. And during the show, we've seen the evolution of how this journey is embraced by support and love. When Amrit first came out to you, what were some of your initial feelings?
My heart was broken, shattered. I couldn't say the word gay. It was just so traumatic for me. Like Prince Manvendra ji said that he had a lot of girlfriends. It was the least expected thing out of Amrit. Because in school, he had a lot of girlfriends. He was very charming and he was hiding his identity, his reality. So it was very hard to tell that he was gay. And honestly, I was shattered. But I tried every possible way. Like he said, his parents tried. And then I accepted it because he's the love of my life.
I was shocked and numb at that time, and I couldn't say anything. And I asked myself a very simple question. Did you love him less after than you loved him before? And the answer came out, no, you still love him the same. And now to that love, I added admiration for his courage.
And that question that you've just posed is such a powerful and profound question. When he first shared your feelings as parents, what were you most afraid of for Amrit?
To me, I was afraid of him being in society because I've heard the term, we hate gay people, and there is still a lot of hate, which I would like to convert to love. I would love to see Amrit and Nicholas hold hands while they're walking on the street. I sometimes even to today tell him, try not to make it a public display of affection. just like how I would hold Suresh's hand. I mean, I feel good about it. Why can't they do it? So that's what my feeling is. I want to make that change where they are accepted in public and not tormented and hated.
My biggest fear was that they would be targeted by racist people, people who really don't have any understanding or love for their fellow beings, and even being personally harmed and injured. And of course, the community I could deal with, but be difficult to deal with that aspect.
And it's so heartwarming to see on this show how your family in particular has been able to move through their journey, and it's such an important form of representation for other families to see that if it's happening in your family, then it almost creates a sense of it's possible for others to replicate that too, should they put in should they be willing and willing to go on this journey of learning. On the show, we witnessed Amrit's journey of sharing the news that he was gay with his Nanima, who is the grandmother who is an elder in your family. And oftentimes when we look at, there's always extreme fear in sharing your coming out with an elder in the family. What tools would you give to other parents to help support their child in coming out to elders in their family?
It's just a mark of respect and being honest and truthful, because she would keep asking him, when is Amrit having a girlfriend? And I would evade it in the beginning, saying he's busy with his career, he's busy trying to make his life. And you know, how long? And then she would keep seeing his age. She sees, okay, he's 29, he's 28, he's 29, he's 30, does he have a girlfriend? And she would pound me with those questions. And to me, too, it was a guilt feeling, because I was lying to my mother, which I cannot do. I've never lied. And for Amrit, it was also hard. And that was the last coming out that he was so terrified of doing, because yes, he expected her to be at his wedding dancing and being proud of what he is and who he is. So he had to come out to her.
Yeah.
My first thought was, I have to accept it before we can tell Nanima. We have to accept it. Our acceptance and our support is going to be his strength for him to come out to Nanima, which, thank God for us, it worked perfectly like that.
And it's such and you speak of such an important point, right? It's almost like peeling back the layers of an onion, where it starts with coming out to yourself and then having the courage to come out to parents, and then each layer of when you share your sexual orientation or gender identity with another person, and there's that sense of acceptance, it almost gives the individual that courage and more people in their corner to say that, oh, I do have people who love me, I do have people who accept me, and that definitely makes it a lot easier to come out to elders. You also speak of an important point about, Lavina, when you were speaking about your mom and not being able to share the truth, and just want to expand that concept a little bit bigger. When we look at the South Asian community, it's very much a group-oriented community. And sometimes we have parents who are scared to talk about their child's sexual orientation in public spaces. So you may be in a group space and someone may be like, how is Amrit doing? Or how is so-and-so doing? And sometimes there's almost a hesitation to share the truth because of that shame and guilt that is at the community level. How did you initially move through those conflicting feelings of supporting your child and being proud of who they are, but also belonging to a community and following your cultural norms?
Let me be very honest, Hasina, when he first came out, I went into a shell. I mean, that was me. I never shunned him. I always embraced him. I always, wanted to be there. In fact, I wished he had come out a little earlier. He didn't have to struggle with it by himself. I wish I was by his side from the time he found out. He had courage enough to come out to me. But yes, in the community with my friends, I went into a shell. I didn't want to meet anybody. I didn't want anybody to ask me about Amrit, because I didn't know what to say. Now you tell me to stand on the rooftop and scream, my son is gay, I can say it.
Yeah.
And I'm taking baby steps and I have reached there.
And that's so beautiful to see that journey. I feel if there's a willingness to learn, I feel like that gives the impetus to creating that journey of support and publicly saying that. And that probably means a lot to Amrit as well, right? To know that he has the unconditional support of his parents.
Absolutely.
Yes, I did, and up to today I admired his courage, and I did tell him, son, we are behind you, by your side, whichever one you want to work with. If you want us by your side or behind you, they're both. And we will face not only the community, we will face the world.
Yeah.
So you live your life, and I'm proud of his accomplishments, what he has accomplished all on his own. And that gave me the courage to also stand by.
And to me, my worst fear is to lose my child. And there was no way that I would have accepted that, because when he said, sometimes gay kids, when they're not accepted, they contemplate suicide. And I said, if you had done that, you would have killed me first. So now, instead of losing a son, guess what? I gained two. So I'm in there for a good bargain. I got him and Nicholas.
Yeah, you got 2 for 1.
Yeah.
What are some new things that you've learned about the 2S LGBTQ community recently?
What I learned about the 2S LGBTQ plus community is they are wonderful people. They have to be accepted as part of our, what Prince Manvendra said is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We are a world family. We need to join hands, and we need to help those who need the help. We have, thank God, the means and the ability to do it. So let's do it.
To me, my world is very small. It's not as large as the prince's world. It's a very small. My world is my children, my family, and I'm very happy in that world. But I'm trying to make a big difference. People reach out to me. I'm all ears and I'm all shoulders, but I've learned that there's such beautiful people. The people I've met with Amrit, his friends, his community, and they stick with each other no matter what. Like when I hear Amrit telling me, I want to do this, and I say, go for it, son. I'm right there behind you. We are both there. Dad and I will support you with whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And it's the power of being yourself too, right? That affords that relationship building that's really authentic and deep, that's there no matter whether it's good times or challenging times, which is really helpful in life.
The truth and honesty really helps, and they, the 2S LGBTQ plus have been honest enough to come out first to themselves, to the parents and to the elders, and we also have to be truthful and honest and say, I need to accept this as my own. I am part of this world, I am part of this family, and it is my acceptance that's going to make a big difference and give them courage.
I feel like that's a tweetable moment right there, what you just said about the parents and their role, because I feel like sometimes it's almost missed or maybe not as understood in terms of the role and the critical role that parents play as bridge builders on this journey.
And I felt like I got the freedom more than Amrit. I was a bird trapped in a little cage. And then when I was so open, and when we came out in the show, I was very shy to do the show. I was very apprehensive. I'm not one of those, I'm a very simple, quiet person.
Yeah.
But when I got the opportunity, and that gave me the courage and, to talk openly about it and everything, I felt free. Like I was out in the open.
That's amazing. I want to take us back to, let's be real, sometimes it can be hard to find resources that fit the family context. How have you Have you been able to find resources? And if so, where have you been able to find those?
We actually have not found family resources, family support resources. So we, in our little way, are trying to be a resource for families, parents, whoever wants to reach out to us. And Amrit has done that. Parents have asked him. So we're kind of building up our own family resource from ground up.
Mm-hmm.
My first resource was a very dear friend who was a role model to me and her daughter, and that made a big difference to me, and I think made a difference to Amrit too. So lovingly they accepted their child, no matter what.
That's pretty amazing. And have you been able to connect with other 2S LGBTQ plus parents in where you are, or has that been a struggle as well?
There have been a couple who have reached out to me after they saw on the show, and maybe a few others are apprehensive or don't want to talk about it. And I'm all ears. I can listen, I can talk back, and we can share a lot of things, because yes, we are all in the same boat together. We are all dealing with it, and it's not difficult. It's just not difficult. But yeah, we have to go take baby steps, and we'll get there.
Yeah. I'm going to take us to one of our final questions for this section is, what would be your message to other parents who have 2S LGBTQ plus children?
Reach out to your child. Don't let them go through this by themselves. It's very hard for them. Reach out. If you're there with them, it will make it a lot easier. And like she said, you don't want to lose your child.
Love is love. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can see the love in their eyes, whether it's Amrit or Nicholas, whether he was a girl or a boy. I think love and happiness is the most important things in this world and what we are waiting and striving for. So parents are, I mean, can you imagine that little child comes from you and it's part of you, and you have to accept the child no matter what. It's just not his fault. If Amrit was a liar, a cheat, or somebody who's saying, I would smack him in his thing and get him back to doing the right thing. But this is something that's just natural.
Yes.
I mean, you have to just let him be. I just wish we were there with him sooner. He came out in 2011, which was when he was much older, because it was a struggle for him, a big struggle for him.
And I feel like that's also a common struggle. I know for myself too. I came out in my adult years as well, and as I speak to more individuals who have multiple identities, it seems to be a little bit of a trend that we come out later in life, and then it's almost playing catch up into some degree. But there's more. Once you come out, it feels like life moves a lot faster as well, because you have that freedom of choice and freedom to fully be who you are, which is equally as powerful as an individual, to live your life on your terms and to the fullest.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank both of you for coming on today and sharing the parents' perspective. It's a really critical piece in this conversation, and I feel like it's a piece that maybe isn't as known in terms of the parents' role and how they can play a role in supporting their child in their coming out journey. And I just want to say thank you for sharing your wisdom and sharing your time with us today.
Thank you. And I had made a vow to myself. I cried a lot. I had a lot of tears, and I said, no more tears. It's only going to be laughter after this.
I love that. I'm going to take that on too from my side.
Anytime. We'll have a good laugh over a cup of chai.
Yeah, chai and biscuits.
Yes. Yep.
I'm going to move us along to the next part of our program and this is where the viewers, you get to take center stage and ask questions, your burning questions, to either Prince Manvendra or Lavina or Suresh. And if you haven't already done so, you can drop your question in the comment box of whatever social platform you are on, and our lovely staff will collect them and we'll see as many as we can get to. So I'm just going to look to my other screen to see there are a few questions that have come in. So I'm just going to go down the list. I feel this first one is for Prince Manvendra, and the question is, was there a defining moment in your life or a turning point that made you feel strong enough to come out and say, I am ready to speak my truth?
Yeah, definitely. In my case, it was my parents who motivated me to do that, because I was being subject to so much of torture for no fault of mine. They tried to not just play with my emotions, but they tried to kind of strip me of all my belongings, and they burnt my albums. They didn't want me. They don't have any records of my school records, and they even went to the extent of going to the government of India and saying that I'm doing illegal work with regards to Lakshya Trust, the organization which for the LGBT community. So I was being bullied, and I was day in day out being tortured for no fault of mine, which led me to take the step. And they always used to threaten me that, look, you're doing things which are not acceptable by the society, and we would go and tell this one and that one, and they will all disconnect with you, they will stop talking to you. So I said, damn it, I don't care. I'm going to tell the whole world. I'll make your work much easier, that you don't have to tell X and Y and Z. I'll tell everyone that who I am, and that's what motivated me to do. And I wanted my freedom. I was like a dog chained. Wanted my freedom, and I was not being given that freedom, and so I did it.
You speak of a powerful belief system that you just illustrated in your question, is that there's almost a belief system out there that says if you're part of a community and people who identify as 2S LGBTQ plus share their sexual orientation and share that with the world, it's almost like there's a sense of loss, but in reality it's actually the opposite. The more people that are able and feel safe to come out and share who they are, or their gender identity and their gender expression, it almost brings people together. And I find that always fascinating, that the opposite belief system is sometimes there. The next question that we have is for all panelists, and the question is, what makes you optimistic about the future for the QT BIPOC community across the globe? And maybe we'll start with you, Prince Manvendra, in that question.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand.
What makes you optimistic about the future for the people of color community across the globe?
See, I think I have been a very optimistic person right from beginning, and for me, anyone, whether you belong to any color, race, caste, creed, after all, we are all humans. We are all equal. We are all born the same. It's the human beings who put borders, or who differentiate between us with respect to our color and caste and creed. So we have to realize that no matter whatever people try to divide us and put borders between us, we are all one, and we have to fight together to make this world a better place to live. And as I mentioned in the past, that I believe in this whole world being one family, and that's happening. I mean, now I'll give you a recent example. I mean, COVID has taught us so many things. COVID has brought us all together. We were all scattered. We were all fighting our own causes, and now COVID has brought us together, and we are fighting things out together. So we have to learn from experiences. I mean, if why do we need a pandemic to bring us together? You know, why can't we be together naturally? You know, but then nature takes care of itself. If nature brought pandemic because they felt that there has been discrimination happening, so the pandemic came, and now we are fighting it out globally as a family.
Mm-hmm. And Lavina and Suresh, do you have any other comments to add in terms of what makes you optimistic for the future for the people of color community across the globe?
What makes me optimistic is that I was very ignorant about this whole issue when I was growing up. And reflecting back, I'm aware, and I see that awareness coming about not only in North America, but in other parts of the world. You can look at India as an example. That awareness is coming out in Bollywood, in every part of India. Thanks to people like Prince Manvendra, more and more people are waking up to the fact that we need to treat them just like us.
Yeah.
There is no difference. We are one family. So that is making me very hopeful. Very hopeful.
I'm going to move us along. This next question is for anyone who would like to answer. The question is, I'm scared to tell my story because it's an epitome of a desi gay kid disowned disaster. I'm scared I will turn other 2S LGBTQ plus kids, especially desi or racialized individuals, away from coming out. I've been told silence sometimes and speak up at the right times. How do I navigate this situation?
Can I answer, or you want?
No, you answer.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my experience has shown that, like, you know, when there are two things. One is social independence, and the second is financial independence. These two are the key things before one needs to break the silence. Sometimes I do believe silence is important, but when it comes to a point where you cannot keep that to be silent, then we need to be socially empowered and independent, and financially independent and empowered before we take the step of opening your mouth, because we have to realize that the moment we open the mouth, we will be subject to discrimination. So, but if these two things are in place, then I mean, if the whole world goes against you, also still you will be strong.
I agree.
Lavina and Suresh, did you have anything else to add to that?
Very, very important two factors that Prince just mentioned.
Yeah.
Be socially and financially. Very important. There's a right time to stay quiet and a right time to speak up.
Yeah. There's another question that we have here that's for the Prince Manvendra, and the question is, what options are there for someone in various religions in India who are not straight and are being pressured by family to marry someone of the opposite sex?
Yeah, so again, advocacy comes in place here, and there's again as I mentioned in the past, creating allies, where parents' roles, like the role what Lavina and Suresh are playing, are very important, and we are doing that with the help of Swikar. This organization Swikar, where mothers are talking to mothers and fathers talking to fathers, is making a big difference. I mean, during this last pandemic itself, almost 120 parents have been counseled, and particularly, when you talk about religious background, when you talk about caste and creed, but we are fortunate to have parents from all backgrounds, from all religions, from all castes, and from all states of India. So if you want a Brahmin, Tamil mother to be educated, then we get a similar mother from Swikar to educate that mother, so that religion and that caste and everything and the language and all those barriers are broken and they could be understood. And with regards to religious also, we have leaders, we have religious leaders who are supporting us now. I mean, we have created allies within the religious leaders as well. So they also play their role by changing the mindsets.
we almost need to bring this program to Canada because it sounds like we could definitely use it in North America from a cultural perspective. This next question is for anyone who would like to answer it on the panel. Lasting and impactful social change can take a long time. What would you say to folks within your faith or ethnic communities who don't agree with each other about what is the next best step? How do you reconcile those differences?
I think Lavina start.
You start first.
The most important factor in this is lack of knowledge, lack of ignorance. And we have to bring this knowledge, our experiences out in the world and say, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, your world or your child's world. Just accept, start with acceptance. It will make it a lot easier. Like she said, her role model had mentioned to us once, I don't want my child to live alone forever. I want that child to have a companion who can understand that child. Nobody wants the children, regardless of sex, to be living their life all alone. And that is very important. So we need to bring this to their knowledge and hopefully acceptance.
And we all always have to start with baby steps. It has to be step 1, steps 2. We cannot suddenly be enlightened. It's a process. And it's good to go with an ally. And like Prince Ji said, go with somebody who's supporting you. You feel that security. That's so important, to have somebody of your own with you.
That's really powerful. That allyship is having support and having people beside you can definitely help make a difference.
Yes.
And definitely help create that ripple effect that is needed. Prince Manvendra, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think they've snatched my words from my mouth. So they said it all. And I always said, whenever people used to go against me, I would always make this remark that I don't blame the people, but I blame their ignorance. And we need to, I often use this word, educated illiterate in many of my conversations. I said people may be highly educated, qualified, but with regards to our issues, they are highly illiterate. So we need to change that illiteracy and make them literate so that we expect them to understand our issues and remove all the misconceptions they have about us, and that will bring about acceptance.
Yeah, and I would add from my personal perspective on this is, I think sometimes there's also at a community level, there can be hesitation on not knowing what step to take, and that sense of if we take a step and we don't know what we're doing, we're almost going to fail as a community, or there's going to be some sort of repercussions to some degree, depending on the community that you are. And I would say maybe taking that baby step of acknowledging that there are 2S LGBTQ plus folks in your community, and just taking that one step, that opens the door to conversation, that opens up the door to dialogue, to say that maybe there's people within the ethnic community or the religious community that can help in this process. Maybe there's an opportunity to work with others, to other religious institutions or other religious communities that are further along, and sort of not working in silos, but working alongside others to learn, instead of having this idea that we need to have it all figured out up front. That initial step of just acknowledging it in a way that's true could be also equally as powerful. I'm looking at our question list to see if I don't see any more questions. So I'll put it back to the audience. We have probably a couple of minutes to hopefully have one last question that could be asked in this section. And I feel like someone is writing something. If there's anyone online who has a question, you still have, this is your last probably opportunity to ask it in this section, so don't feel scared or shy. we'll just wait a couple of seconds to see if any other questions come through. I see something coming through, so I'm just going to wait for a second here.
Can I say something till
Sure.
it comes?
Sure.
Yeah. So, Lavina and Suresh, I'm highly impressed, and I heard your story and your interview, and I must say that I'm very proud that we have parents like you, and who have so well accepted your son, and who are also, you are doing a wonderful job of educating other parents and creating other allies. So I just wanted to express my thanks, and it's an honor to be known to you. I'm very happy that I know you. And if there's anything I can do for you in India, I would be very happy for both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate everything but you're doing it at a very large scale. We are doing it at a very minute scale.
But we are doing it. So that's what counts.
Thank you.
We do have one question that's come in, and maybe we'll just go around in the circle and use this as the last question. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing, what would that be? And maybe we'll start with Lavina.
My younger self didn't even know what's LGBT. At that time, it was just LGBT, right? So
Yeah.
Amrit first told me, Mom, Google it, read up on it. And then I'm reading up on it on the computer, and I'm saying, why is he telling me this? So I just wish I was a little more into the world and not so naive as I used to be. And then that's how he introduced me to this group, or community, or whatever we call it. And then slowly, that's when, after a couple years, then he came out with it. So I just wish I was a little bit more sensitive to it and know about it. And the first two people who I went out to as soon as he told me was, first of all, was my doctor, like Manvendra said, and my Guruji. And they both accepted it and said, don't do anything about it.
And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that.
Well, as you said, when my own young self in India, living in India, brought up in the 50s and 60s, 70s even, you're not aware of these issues. Nobody even talks about it. Everything is swept under the rug. Going back, I wish it wasn't. If I had more knowledge, I could have stood by my son's side a lot earlier, and he probably would have come out a lot earlier.
That's really profound as well.
So when people ask me what did I regret coming out, I said no. Yes, I do regret coming out late. I should have come out much earlier than 2006. I think if I would have known about my sexuality when I was growing up, I wouldn't have taken the step of marrying a girl and ruining her life. So again, it goes down to education and awareness. So if I would have come to terms with my sexuality much earlier in my life, I would have been in activism much earlier than now, and I could have saved much more lives. So that was the only regret.
There's one question that's come on the panel that says, did you all wear yellow on purpose? And I would say we all joined the call, and it was a synchronicity thing that happened, that the folks who are in Calgary are wearing black shirts, and the folks who are in the US and in India are wearing yellow. So it was a very beautiful synchronistic moment, but no, we did not plan that. But it worked out really well. It looks good for like Instagram photos and things like that.
I wanted to wear vibrant colors. That's what the colors of the rainbow are. So I just picked yellow. And he picked yellow because he copies me. So.
I do. I follow whatever she does.
Yellow is a beautiful color.
The color of Krishna.
Yeah, it's perfect.
In fact, we just celebrated Krishna's birthday. I mean, today would be Krishna's birthday in Canada. For India, it was yesterday. So, as Lavina pointed out, it was celebrating our one of our god Krishna's birthday, which prompted us maybe to wear yellow.
Yes.
It's a very fitting color for the occasion.
Well, hopefully it represents light, which represents knowledge, which we pray comes to everybody who's facing this situation as we.
Yeah.
Love is what matters at the end of it.
Yeah. And that's a fitting segue into my next piece, which is on behalf of Calgary Pride, I'd like to thank C-Space, Interpride, and Infosys for their support for tonight's event. To those folks who are watching at home, thank you for joining us as we embarked on this courageous conversation. We would like this to be a start of many courageous conversations that go beyond the festival. And my message to everyone who is watching here today is you are not alone. We see you, we hear you, you belong here, and you matter. Please do reach out to us if you'd like to be involved in any way that feels true to you going forward. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our panelists, and we'll see you again soon. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.